What is up everyone and welcome back to the channel. On today's episode we're gonna take a look at a pretty new scooter from SYM. This is its first production year, the Jet 4 RX. This is a very small little scooter just for poodling around the city. This particular model is a 50cc. You can also get it in 125 air-cooled with 11 horsepower, but this is the small 50cc which many of you can ride on a car license without needing a proper motorcycle license. It's a small dinky little scooter that comes at a very reasonable price. It rides on the SYM Orbit 3 platform with a little bit more style, to be honest. And it still comes at a very affordable price of less than 2,500 euros and comes with a lot of kit for that money, which we will get into as we take a look at it from front wheel to back wheel as we usually do. And let's get straight into it. Starting up front, first thing we notice is this pretty aggressive looking front end. We have handguards here, a dash cover here, indicators right here which are halogen, but as we move down we see our daytime running lights and our high and low beams are actually LED. So for this kind of money and a 50cc you get LED lights up front, both high and low beam. The indicators, I don't care, they're halogen. This is worth its weight in gold. LED lights are absolutely the business, especially on motorcycles. Moving down, like I've said, it rides on the SYM Orbit 3 platform, so we have the same rim as on the Orbit 3, only here it's silver, it's not black. The same fork and the same small little dual piston caliper on a brake disc, which has quite a lot of stopping power for how small and dinky the brakes looks, because this is a light scooter. This is just around 100 kilograms in terms of weight, so there's not much mass to stop, so you don't need huge brakes to get proper stopping power. Moving around to the side, we can see we have a flat floor and the luggage hook right here, so we can carry bags if we go grocery shopping or something like that. We have our rider seat, which is a pretty nice and wide and soft rider seat. We have our passenger seat back here. Enough room for a passenger. For short city commutes, there's enough room here, and the passenger can hold on to these grab rails back here. In terms of foot pegs, trying to keep costs low, it doesn't have dedicated passenger foot pegs, but it has this area right here which the passenger can rest his or her feet on. Moving around to the back, we have our 50cc fuel injected 3 horsepower engine, our exhaust here with the exhaust cover, again halogen turn indicators, our license plate holder, but again we have on the rear, both for the running lights and for the brake lights, we have LEDs, and it's actually a pretty nice design with this U shape put on its side, both here and here. Very visible during the daytime and also during the nighttime. It's pretty nice to see LEDs all around on this scooter for this price point. In terms of undersea storage, we use the key to open the seat. We have a pretty big underseat storage. It's not very tall, so you can't fit a big helmet here, but you can use the D-link holder to mount your helmet right here and leave it here without getting stolen. The battery is right back here. In terms of sizing, it's about a helmet and a half in terms of size, but then again, like I've said, it's not very deep. And we also get back here a USB capable of quick charge 3.0. It's a 5-volt 2 amp capable of quick charge, so you can run a cable from back here to the dashboard and charge your phone as you ride. Further up, like I've said, we have a flat floor, we have a luggage hook here, we have an exposed handlebar, which actually looks pretty nice. Our key here, which we use for just about anything. It also does come with a key lock, and we use the back of the key to open it. Also, the fuel tank is right underneath the floor, and this is where we fill it up with gas. So we press on the key, turn it to the right, and it opens up and we can fill our fuel tank. It's about a 6-liter fuel tank, but it's really nice that it's underneath the floor, and it opens up a little bit more space down in the underseat storage. Moving on to the controls, we have our brake lever here, front brake here, back brake here. The back brake actually has a parking brake, so we pull on it, engage the parking brake, and now the back brake is locked. If you want to take it off, just pull on it a little bit and it automatically releases. On the right hand side, we have our engine start button. We have our hazard lights. Yes, this little scooter comes with hazard lights. Our dashboard, our horn on the left side, indicators, and high and low beams. In terms of dashboard, we have a full digital dash with our idiot lights right here, our engine check light, our check engine light, our fuel light, high and low beam light, oil check light, and indicators. And on the dash, what we can see is our fuel level here, our rev counter here, our speedometer here, our trip meter, our clock, our voltage indicator for the battery, our total odometer, and again back to trip meter. So quite a lot of information for such a small little scooter and such a small little dash. It gives you just about anything you would need on a normal ride. And that's about it for the details of the Jet 4 RX. Not much to talk about, but then again, it's a cheap and cheerful little scooter that looks very good, that has its place parked outside a fancy restaurant. You won't feel embarrassed with it. And in terms of riding it, there's actually quite a lot of legroom here. Even though it's a small little city scooter, you can even put your legs right up here if you want to. The handlebars are pretty tall. The scooter is small, nice and light. You can actually get a pretty comfortable riding position for riding around the city. In terms of seat height, very low seat, so I can easily flat-foot it without any kind of problem. Again, just about 100 kilograms, small and light. It's a perfect little city runabout, very economical, and at least in the 125cc form, pretty peppy. But we have the 50cc and we're gonna try it out and see how it rides. Come on, let's go. Alrighty, riding the little Jet 4 RX. Now, in terms of its place in the SYM lineup, this scooter should be replacing the old SYM Crocs, which looked like a small little adventure scooter and rode on the similar Orbit 2 platform. This rides on the newer Orbit 3 platform, like the X Pro, like the Fiddle 4, and it's a bit of an update. That's why you have this exposed handlebar, you have these handguards right here, the parking brake, which is taken right from the SYM Crocs. It wants to look like a small little adventure scooter, but this time around, unlike the SYM Crocs, they have given it proper on-road tires, because the SYM Crocs came with some off-road tires and they were a little bit noisy, to be honest. And let's be real, it didn't have off-road suspension or anything, so you could take it off-road, but it was just like taking a normal scooter off-road. Whereas this one, you get regular suspension, but also you get regular tires, so you can ride it around the city without having the droning noise of a off-road tire. In terms of riding it, well, we just have the 50cc here, which is just 3 horsepower. It's not a lot of power. I think it's 3 horsepower and 3 newton meters of torque, which is very little in terms of power. But then again, it's a 50cc, so what do you expect out of a 50cc? Gone are the days of the 50cc's 2-stroke water-cooled with 6 or 7 horsepower, because they just don't meet emission standards. This is a fuel injector. It's pretty anemic in terms of engine, but it will get you around the city, like it's getting me around the yard now without any kind of problem. And because it's so light, you can have quite a lot of fun with it. And yes, this is a very light scooter. We have a proper disc brake up front. We do have a drum in the back, but again, because of the low weight, you don't need much stopping power. The scooter is very light on its feet. The suspension doesn't have a lot to work, and that makes it quite a lot of fun. And even with 3 horsepower, because it's so light, it's pretty peppy. Yeah, it's slow compared to a 125cc, but compared to modern 50cc's, this is actually pretty peppy. And around city traffic, this is a blast. I mean, just how light it is. I'm doing a roundabout, leaned quite a lot with just one hand. And switching from one side to the other, you just flick it left and right without any kind of fuss, any kind of stress. Dart around potholes like it's nothing. I would really like to try out the 125 because this is such a small little, nice little nimble platform with its 12-inch wheels. And yeah, the 12-inch wheels might not be good for a long distance trip because they don't have the stability of a 14 or a 16-inch, but through the city where you want agility, this is perfect. The agility that the 12-inch wheels give you is unmatched by anything else. How easy it is to lean into a corner, and it actually feels pretty stable. It is pretty confidence inspiring. The riding position is pretty nice. I can put my legs up here if I want to, push myself a little further back on the seat. With the 125cc you could actually do a bit of long distance trips in it and be actually pretty comfortable. Not as comfortable as on a bigger scooter, but decent. Considering how much it costs and its intended use case, it's very decent, to be honest. And in terms of braking, like all light scooters, they don't need a lot of brakes, and if you yank on the levers, you come to a halt just about immediately. Especially the front brake feels really positive because it's a disc. Yeah, the rear brake is a little bit anemic because it's a drum brake and you don't get a lot of brake feel through the lever, but then again, you really don't need the back brake quite that much because it's such a small light little scooter. The front brake disc is just about enough. Also, this scooter is brand new, so the brake shoes on the back are not bedded in, and the brake shoes, unlike brake pads, take a lot longer to bed in. But until they get bedded in, we have our front brake, which is a dual piston caliper. It's the same caliper that's on bigger scooters, and if you want to stop, it immediately comes to a halt. Now, it doesn't have ABS, neither the 50cc nor the 125cc's, because then once again it's a budget option. But with such a light scooter, ABS might not be necessary. Sure, it's nice to have in case of an emergency, but because it's so nimble and so agile, sometimes you won't have to brake for hazards, but you can actually quickly avoid them. In terms of comfort and suspension, yeah, the suspension is pretty harsh. Like putting it through some bumps here, it is pretty harsh, but then again, the seat is nice and soft and nicely padded, and it takes away the shocks from bumps that the suspension doesn't soak up. So all in all, a pretty nice little scooter for the city with a lot of features that I like LED lights, a full digital display with all the information you could want, a nice handlebar, and a very nice looking scooter. Perfect for the city commute, to have it as a city runabout. If you don't have a motorcycle license, you can get the 50cc and ride it on a car license. If you do have a motorcycle license, you can get the 125cc and have a little bit more oomph to make use of this small, light, agile frame and chassis. But that's been it for this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care out there, everyone, and ride safe. Goodbye.